Stockton and Purdue will try to defend Karl Malone. They'll get help defense out of Robinson. For the Utah Jazz, Stockton, Hornacek, Malone, Russell.
Hitting his 3 points with regularity during the playoffs. Greg Foster gets the unenviable task of checking Shaquille. Malone, one of the best players ever in the game, and Brian Russell regaining a starting spot for Jerry Sloan, the coach of the Utah Jazz. Let's check in now with Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Well, the Lakers came to the arena today, and they became very annoyed with the Utah Jazz. They were told by the Jazz that they would not be permitted into their weight room. That really aggravated a lot of the Lakers. The Jazz just said it was policy. Well, that's added fuel to the fire. We asked Robert Horry, what's the key to the game today? He said, if I'm watching the tape tomorrow.
The officials, Hugh Evans, Ronnie Nunn, and Bernie Fryer.
4 keys for the Lakers here. Keep Shaq out of foul trouble. Get Shaq the ball early in the shot clock so he can be a passer. Eddie Jones in transition.
And Shaq misses right underneath with Foster in his face.
And then they've also got to control John Stockton.
Are there any more keys that you want to throw out? This game comes down to execution. And you know the Jazz have been the league's best at half-court executing. They've been able to try to get that quick-hitting stuff. They get a foul right off the bat against Rick Fox.
Utah execution prevented by a Laker foul. First foul of the game on Rick Fox.
Terrific screen by John Stockton, the leader, the emotional spark plug of this team.
Everyone expects the Los Angeles Lakers to roll through the Utah Jazz, and this will be a different series. The Jazz have been a mentally tougher team than any that they have run across in any other 2 series.
Stockton off a screen, intimidated by Shaquille, but there's Greg Foster, and Foster with the slam on the putback, and then a look at the crowd. Remember, it was Foster who made the throat-cutting gesture that so angered the Lakers during the regular season.
Steve, who have you been talking to that everybody thinks the Lakers are just going to kill the Jazz?
Well, I came early, and I got a sense from everyone that they thought that the Lakers were playing so well that the Jazz had little opportunity. But as you see early, Utah Jazz and Greg Foster.
Foster has all 4 Utah points.
Greg Foster making the contributions where he can in transition, going to the offensive glass and rolling into the seam when Shaq plays the big zone close-off defense.
Triple team of Shaq, and Stockton took it away. Stockton with a lead pass. Russell got it. Whoa. Stockton, perfect pass after the steal, and a great acrobatic layup by Brian Russell. 20-second timeout, Los Angeles.
Tom, we've talked about John Stockton. He's involved in every single play. On the curl, just throws it up, knowing Shaq will go, and that leaves Foster wide open. Then, a different angle of the same play. That's exactly what you want to do. Don't get that shot blocked. Then, the very next possession, Foster beating Shaquille O'Neal in transition after the great collapsing defense. And then again, the steal by John Stockton. Brian Russell with incredible recovery and great athleticism.
You know, last year, the Utah Jazz were fighting to get to the finals, and, you know, they're trying to return. You can see how they're progressing, but this is a team that's got a lot of confidence, a lot of resiliency, showing it here early in the ball game, and one of the reasons Del Harris takes a timeout. Want to get this crowd out of the game, try to settle his team down.
3 possessions, the Lakers have gone into Shaq, all 3. They have missed 2 shots.
The only way
turned it over once.
Excuse me, Tom. The only way they're going to get this crowd out of the game is by taking a big, insurmountable lead.
Fisher lofts it over Foster, no good, and Greg clears the rebound to Stockton. 0 for 3 shooting for the Lakers. Hornacek blocked by Jones. Knocked out of bounds by Derek Fisher. Jazz will get it, 14 to shoot.
Hornacek in the pregame warm-ups appeared a little bit sluggish, a little bit stiff. We're going to have to see if those legs are all right for a 35-year-old Jeff Hornacek.
They're 35-year-old legs, that's all.
But they'll be fine by the second quarter.
Malone fall away short over Horry, and loose ball foul call.
Stockton on a little push to Derek Fisher.
When they start calling fouls on guards going for offensive rebounds, I think they're a little bit too tight with the whistle.
9.5 left in the opening quarter. Stockton with another near steal, and then a takedown by Eddie Jones. No foul call.
Well, this is an easy pickoff for John Stockton. Stockton is terrific in the passing lane. Eddie Jones with the takedown. Crowd wants a call against the Lakers and Jones, and they don't get it.
Shot clock is against the Lakers here.
8 to shoot. Fisher is fouled as he takes it to the rim. So with the defense concentrating on Shaq down low, instead of throwing it into him the last 2 possessions, Fisher has taken it to the basket.
The Lakers' success in their dominant run against the Sonics was getting everybody else involved in the ball game, raising their level of confidence. You know Shaq is going to get 20 or 30 opportunities if necessary, but they've got to get Eddie Jones, who hasn't played extremely well overall, away from home. And the same is for Derek Fisher. And you see Fisher and how he has played and some of the numbers that he has thrown up, they're beginning to come down.
Those numbers coming down because Nick Van Exel in one of those incredible shooting zones where it seems like Van Exel can only make difficult shots. The wide open ones he's been having trouble with.
What the Jazz rely on is execution. They try to get the ball down deep to Malone. That time the Lakers busted up.
Fox picked it off after the careless Hornacek pass. Fox for 3. Rick Fox on both ends made the defensive play and then hits the three-pointer to cut the Jazz lead to 2.
Eddie Jones has got quicker hands right now than the level of play that Hornacek is demonstrating. He's got to sharpen it up, Jeff Hornacek.
You see what they do. They bring Karl Malone to one side. He isolates everybody, and then Rick Fox tries to drop down, and Karl Malone calls the illegal defense. An easy call to make because Fox is guarding nobody. He's just zoning the area.
When you're Karl Malone, you do everything anyway. You drive your motorcycle to the game. You tell the guys how to clean the floor, how to polish up the backboard, and how to referee the game as well.
Karl does know the rules, even though some of the Lakers have questioned that in the last few days about his kick move as he puts up some of his shots.
But Karl will get away, as every player should, with whatever the referees allow you to. And he's going in there trying to draw the contact, trying to spread himself out to make sure he gets to the line. Remember, he takes the second most free throw attempt of anybody in the NBA.
Eddie Jones committed the foul, and Brian Russell sinks the jump shot, his 4th point.
That play is there for them the entire afternoon because Shaq doesn't like to come out on the pick and roll. So they're going to be able to get that mid-range jump shot for Russell, Shannon Anderson anytime they want. They're going to get a foul against Greg Foster on the pitch. Watch where Shaquille O'Neal is. Now, when he comes off, there's all kinds of daylight. And it's just a question of, does Russell take the shot? And Russell's confidence is up. He is their second leading scorer in the playoffs.
See, I think the Lakers would be better off knowing that Shaq doesn't like to come up and step up on the screen to force the guy away from the screen.
Fisher looking inside for Shaq. Flashes right back out to Fox. Here's Jones. Eddie Jones missed it under pressure, and Foster has another board. 3rd rebound for Greg Foster.
Hornacek is not moving fluidly.
Jazz out rebounding the Lakers 5-0.
You gave him till the second quarter, so let's give him 7 more minutes and see if he warms up.
Shaq with the Lakers' first rebound off the Karl Malone miss. 7.5 left, first quarter. Shaq down low, powers up, no good. Got his own, stripped by Stockton. And then Fox nearly got it back. Here's Russell. Numbers for the Jazz. Foster's pull-up. Rebounded by Malone, and he laid it in.
Well, the Utah Jazz are making all the hustle plays here early in the ball game. They've been able to be a little bit quicker and more alert of where the ball is. That's the difference between being ahead and behind early.
And those quick plays coming from Stockton and Brian Russell in particular, Steve.
Utah by 6. Stockton muscling in. Malone comes to help. Foul call. It's been all Karl Malone.
On 2 for 3 shooting for 4 points. Does have 3 rebounds as well. Shaq has yet to score 0 for 3.
Well, the real story is this. If the Lakers can be bothered by a bit player like Greg Foster, then imagine what Malone and Stockton are going to do to them if they get any kind of game going.
Bit player? He's their starting center.
They got 3 centers.
Wild shot by Robert Horry. And Hornacek into front court for the Jazz. Lost it. Jones leads the break, and Hornacek with a foul.
Again, Hornacek just not able to get into the rhythm. Eddie Jones. Eddie Jones is just all over every little thing that Jeff Hornacek does here. And all Hornacek can do is commit the foul. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Shandon Anderson when he finally gets in the game.
Well, the worst thing is that the team fouls have reached 5 for the Utah Jazz. The Lakers have been struggling to score, so you give them an easy way to get back into the ball game. Eddie Jones finally gets on the board, and Eddie Jones, he has been up and down in his playoff runs, but he is trying to be more consistent. Has really picked it up during the Sonic series.
And that incredible run of 3 straight games where he set new career playoff highs in points, 23, 29, and 32. Stockton lulled Fisher to sleep and laid it in.
Tom, in the one game that the Jazz beat the Lakers this year, John Stockton was a phenomenal difference. He missed 2 of the 3 losses. There's Shaq in deep again, but can't hold on.
That's an unforced error that time by Shaq. He just fumbled it away.
Lakers offense does not appear near as sharp as it did in the final 4 games against Seattle.
Well, again, remember that this is a contrast in styles, in that this is more of an Eastern style, a grinded-out game. The Lakers are not real good at that. 5 seconds on the shot clock for Utah.
Malone got it away.
What patience by John Stockton, the decision-making. Most guys right there would have thrown up a wild 4 shot to beat the clock. He knew he had his best scorer, Karl Malone, in perfect position.
Jazz have their biggest lead. Shaq finds an open Fisher right back in on the re-entry pass, and Shaq still without a field goal. He's 0 for 4.
What they've done also is allowed him just one opportunity. Nice feed to Karl Malone. They take this hoop away.
Look at Jerry Sloan. He cannot believe this offensive foul. Shaq and...
Well, Greg Foster's doing a poor man's imitation of Dennis Rodman. I'm going to try to get into Shaq's head. I'm going to try to create some sort of focus other than being on the game. Greg Foster having a good time.
But what was the defender outside the line? Couldn't see it right there. It looked like he was inside that dotted line. Foster has to go to the bench.
Well, Foster might want to talk to Greg Ostertag about fooling with Shaq. Remember, Shaq cuffed Greg at the start of the season. Kobe Bryant is in for the Lakers. Isley is in for the Jazz, and so is Ostertag.
Well, I think the idea is to try to get Shaquille O'Neal to start trying to beat the Jazz by himself. And if Foster can accomplish that, you take out Kobe Bryant, you take out Eddie Jones, you take out Nick Van Exel, and Shaquille is off to a very slow start.
And Nick Van Exel is also on the floor for the Lakers, hoping to give his team a spark as Stockton sits on the bench. And here's Kobe Bryant. Missed 2 games with the flu in the playoffs and was slow coming back. Has really been a non-factor in the Portland and Seattle series for the Lakers.
Well, right now, Del Harris says, I need scoring. I'm going to go to somebody that's got the native ability to get the ball in the basket, and right away, Bryant gets to the free throw line.
As long as things were going well for the Lakers, Foster can't get the rebound. That's inexcusable.
Van Exel for 3. Long rebound taken by Chris Morris of the Jazz.
As soon as things get a little testy and tough for the Lakers, they come right back to Kobe, as we knew they would.
Malone on a high post, driving around Ori, who fouls it. No basket.
The Utah Jazz, Tom, have really been trying to talk Karl Malone into driving to the basket more, to get more fouls. That time he just made the decision, little pump fake on the pass, freezes the defense, freezes Robert Horry, who's anticipating a pass out of that high post, and then draws the foul.
Horry down, Corey Blunt in. It'll be defense by committee against Karl Malone as well. They'll throw Horry, Blunt, Campbell all in his direction. And Karl Malone has seen some very tough defense coming into this Western Conference Finals from the Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs.
Hornacek got a step, couldn't finish. Ostertag has it. Tough rebound by Greg Ostertag. Hornacek for 3. Malone offensive board. Tried to save it in bounds and could not. Laker ball.
Jerry Sloan is fighting for every call over there, and he feels that the whistles aren't going his way, but his team has done an great job on the extra effort plays to have a little edge here early and to keep the Lakers down.
Van Exel found a seam. He couldn't finish it. Tap no good by O'Neal. And Chris Morris lost it.
Crowd doesn't like the call, but Morris held on the ball one dribble too long. Once he cleared the traffic, he should have picked it up. And once he tried to dance by Eddie Jones, wrong guy. There's a thief in number 6.
He tried a crossover move, and that's not the strength of Chris Morris's game.
It was the cross, but not the over. Just under 4 minutes left, opening quarter. Jazz up by 7.
Lakers getting no second chance opportunities.
Stripped away. Hornacek took it from Eddie Jones. Isley guarded by Van Exel.
Now, you know, what they try to do with Malone is isolate him and keep O'Neal out of the play and then find the cutter. And it was Chris Morris, a little bobble, and he said, I want this.
Steve, there's that low post passing we talked about in the pregame show today. The steal, first of all, though, by Jeff Hornacek. We said it looked like he got some arm on that play. Eddie Jones can't believe a non-call there, but Karl Malone right back and dumping it off the slashing, cutting Chris Morris for the three-point play.
And Chris Morris, who is averaging only 2 points in the 7 games he has played prior to today in the playoffs, gets the three-point play. Biggest lead for Utah. Jones for 3. Kobe Bryant tried to keep it alive. Isley has it for the Jazz.
But it is one shot and a rebound for the Utah Jazz. They're keeping the heat on. Morris again, and another foul against the Los Angeles Lakers and Corey Blunt.
Veteran leadership by the Utah Jazz. Karl Malone just everywhere. In the air for every single rebound on both ends, Steve. He's just doing a magnificent job. You had the interview with him about he gets his game going. Well, he's got it going right now, and the rest of the team is feeding off of him.
He's got his game at the right pitch. You know, Chris Morris is probably the enigma for the Utah Jazz, and he's part of that bench production. When he comes in the ballgame, they're looking for offense, and he's giving them an early spark.
Rebounding big so far in the game. The Jazz out-rebounding the Lakers 13-3.
And with those rebounds, the Jazz are running. The Lakers unable to get into any fast break opportunities. They're going to need to take another timeout.
The Lakers call timeout with 3. Only 1 field goal, 1 of 12, a robust 8%. Let's check in with Jim Gray.
All right, as we see the basket by Kobe Bryant, it's only the second basket of the game. Del Harris told his guys, get over the nerves. We've played almost 9 minutes now. No more time to be nervous and hit the boards. We're trailing on the rebounds 13-3. Just play your game. Everything will be fine. We have 3.5 quarters left. Tom?
Well, they nearly doubled their shooting percentage with that basket as Ostertag lays it in on the other end. How can that happen?
Tom, when you look at the Lakers the way they're playing right now, this is the way they played in Game 1 at Seattle. They look like they'd never game again the rest of the history of the NBA. Then the last 4 games, they look like they never lose a game again. You always have to wonder which Laker team is going to show up.
Nice drop step by Eldon Campbell to score over Ostertag as Campbell does what Shaquille could not, and that's score a field goal.
Well, using your formula, then what you're telling us is the Lakers are trying to set the Jazz up. Play bad in this game, and then roll into their A game for the next 4.
It's that old playing possum deal.
Malone.
Sweeping hook, Karl Malone. Malone now with 6 points.
Tom, I really think that the Lakers are going to have to go with Eldon Campbell and Shaquille O'Neal as the main defensive weapons against Karl. The problem is Karl can step to the perimeter against those guys and abuse it from there.
Campbell scored a moment ago. That time he lost it, taken away by Karl Malone.
The difference is controlling the tempo and the style of play, and the Jazz have done it early, and they throw that one away. They haven't made a lot of mistakes, and Morris trying to bowl that one in. Didn't get a strike. Karl Malone just coming across, and he'll use his power, position, and an easy score against Blunt.
So it was a gutter ball, huh?
It definitely was.
Nick Van Exel for the Lakers down 11.
Look how the Lakers are walking the ball up the court. That is not their game. They've got to be on the move.
Rick Fox misses a 3. Blunt offensive rebound stuffed by Ostertag. Ostertag had 7 blocked shots earlier in the playoffs in the 5th game against the Rockets in the opening round series.
Well, the length of Ostertag is always going to work for him if he's in the game. If the lights are on in his house, then, he's going to cause some problems. If they're not, Jerry Sloan's going to take him out of the game. Malone out. The big dog, Antoine Carr in.
How can you tell if the lights are on when he's got those shades drawn? Campbell muscled it up against Ostertag. Blunt saved the day with another offensive board. 3. Awful looking shot by Van Exel and picked up by Isley.
But still, no offensive rebounds for the Lakers whatsoever. The quick hands and the energy provided by the second unit. Chris Morris, Isley, Ostertag. Now it's Antoine Carr's turn.
They want pick and roll. This is a play that worked for them the entire first quarter. Carr can't cash, but that shot is there again. The Lakers big men don't want to step out and get the shooter. Kobe Bryant.
Bryant challenges Ostertag. Nice move. Kobe elevating and scoring his 5th point.
Yesterday in the film session.
Isley with an answer for the Jazz. Final seconds of the first quarter.
Isley has not been shooting the ball well. Nice to see him get a runner to go in.
Only 30% shooting throughout the playoffs for Isley. A 2-second differential in the shot and game clocks, and just what the Jazz do not want to do, commit a foul.
Well, the reason that he's moaning is the 7-footer out there waving at a guard. I mean, what is Ostertag going to do trying to make a steal out there?
You got Nick Van Exel, one of the most creative and flawless ball handlers in the entire NBA, and you got a Greg Ostertag, where you need every single foul you've got against Shaq late in this game.
So you're saying maybe the lights aren't on?
We don't know yet.
Van Exel, though, misses the first free throw, averaging almost 13 points a game throughout the playoffs, and a good assist-to-turnover ratio, nearly 4-1. Missed both free throws, but Blunt the offensive board. Van Exel's shooting eye way off so far, and again, partially blocked, though. Lakers get it back with 2.8 seconds.
What they've got to see out of Ostertag is better hands at the defensive end. He gets his hands on a lot of ball, and they roll right out of his hands and onto the floor. 2.2 ticks left.
How about the job that Corey Blunt is doing right now? Van Exel 0 for 4 shooting, including 0 for 2 from the free throw line.
What job is Corey Blunt doing?
Bryant for 3, misses at the buzzer.
He's getting offensive rebounds, the only guy doing anything for L.A.
Greg Foster outplaying Shaquille O'Neal and the listless Lakers in the first period. But Greg Foster, who made the throat-slitting move, and maybe he gained 100 pounds, as he told us before the game, because he has outplayed Shaq and all the Lakers, for that matter, to open the game.
Utah has out-hustled the Lakers here. They're quicker to every loose ball. They're working harder on the board. Isley shooting jumpers. The only guy playing right now for Los Angeles was Corey Blunt, and they took him out after giving the Lakers 4 offensive rebounds.
Well, they got your combination in O'Neal and Campbell. Let's see how they work together in tandem and how Ostertag will defend. Lakers turn it over.
Shaq throws it away, and the Lakers have been strangely flat throughout the game so far. That is their 5th turnover, and they're shooting only 4 of 21, 19%, being out-rebounded 14-8. And as you see, the turnovers now all even. That's the only place they're even close in the stat category to the Jazz.
And both teams on 3 full days of rest, neither team having played since Tuesday night when they both closed out their respective opponents.
Morris, an air ball as he came off the screen.
Well, he got a tip. The real story here for the Los Angeles Lakers is going to be their patience, because the Utah Jazz are not a jump shooting basketball team where they're going to give you long periods where they don't go without scores. So they've got to get them playing outside in, and they've got to get them missing some shots.
Steve, that was a jump shot.
Isley is 3 for 3 since he entered the game.
Karl Malone shoots jump shots.
Eldon Campbell. Shaq couldn't get the rebound. It's Morris instead. So the Twin Towers even not productive for the Lakers.
And Morris barking at Ostertag.
And barking a 3. And then holstering his pistol as he runs back down court. The Lakers will take a 20.
They're out of 20-second timeout. And right now they're getting beat so badly that timeouts are going to become a problem for the Lakers end of this game. The bench for the Utah Jazz just spectacular, Steve. Coming off the great screen, and now Chris Morris in transition.
The Jazz in the midst of a 7-0 run to open the second quarter. It's been all Utah.
Compete, and everybody must contribute in some way, and that means the bench has to give him some energy at both ends of the floor, and they have been exceptional here in the first 14 minutes of play. It's been a terrific surge for the Utah Jazz, but there's still a ton of time left in this ballgame.
This series is just getting started, but the dream is already coming true for Utah. Fast break, quickness, everybody involved make the Lakers stand around. Shaq still has not scored.
The experience of the Jazz soundly whipping the youth and the talent of the Lakers so far.
Well, a lot of it is attitude, and the attitude is that the Utah Jazz are going to be the aggressor. They're just not going to quit. O'Neal finally gets a hoop as he draws a foul on the way.
Shaq with a rare head fake before he went up with a shot and a three-point opportunity.
But the Lakers can get back in the ball game if they will have some patience. You know the Jazz have been shooting at an extremely high rate. They're going to miss some of those shots. You got to be able to believe that you can work your way back into the ball game. They don't. They're going to get this ball back, Utah, after the miss by Shaquille O'Neal.
Steve, the rhythm, though, of Shaq's move was so nice. You look at the Lakers shooting, though. Shaq gets 1 for 5. Has anybody else scored from the field?
And this is directly the opposite of what they threw at Seattle in the first quarter. You know, 15 of 19 and a 17-point lead. They're nowhere near that.
Isley's been red hot. Isley with 8 points on 4 for 4 shooting.
Tom, that is such a great sign because he has been struggling. He said 30% shooting. The Jazz coach, Ed Howard, telling me himself, traveling violation on Shaq. Isley's been gone back to fundamentals. He's been working on footwork. He's been working on shooting technique with Coach Jerry Sloan, Coach Gordy Chiesa. This guy has got it going. His numbers were plummeting throughout the playoffs.
Well, right now, the Lakers' problem is they're allowing the Jazz to move the ball, move people very freely. They got to start contesting the passes and the ball movement, player movement. The big dog working his way down low.
Three-pointer. Chris Morris.
Chris Morris getting the early call today. Adam Keefe pretty much out of the rotation.
And Morris has 10 points in 8 minutes. Shaq travels, no basket.
Antoine Carr running the same exact plays, but Karl Malone runs inside.
And Del Harris has just been teed up. The Jazz are doing all this with Stockton, Malone, and Hornacek on the bench.
And the Lakers rally themselves together. Del Harris takes one to try to slow things down. They're trying to calm themselves down as you see them behind Howard Isley.
He had to take one. He's out of timeouts.
The only way he could stop the carnage.
Look at the offensive heroes in the quarter. Isley with 7, Chris Morris with 6. That's got to make a coach sick.
Plus, Del Harris has to back his guys. Shaq with a couple of traveling violations there.
Bench scoring heavily in favor of the Jazz, thanks largely to Chris Morris. And Isley for 3. Oh, Howard Isley! Light it up, Howard. He has a dozen. He hadn't missed a shot. 5 for 5.
This is 16-2 at the start of the quarter.
Fisher for 3. Saved by Shandon Anderson. Scrap for it. Jones and Ostertag. And jump ball call.
Right now, the Utah Jazz just want it more. And the Los Angeles Lakers are going to have to step up. Watch how the Lakers are flat. They're not moving. They're not reacting. How much time does Howard Isley have to knock that shot down? He's been working on that shot since yesterday.
Is anybody paying attention? The man had missed a shot, and he gets a wide-open look.
And Derek Fisher is their best defender at the point guard position.
Jones and Isley ready to jump. Let's go to Jim Gray quickly.
All right, Tom. Del Harris got the technical. He's upset. He says 3 guys are jumping all over Shaquille O'Neal, and then he has no choice but to move his feet because he's getting hit from so many different areas. Call a foul before you call the travel. Tom?
He'll go to the line here, and Considering this second quarter, looking back on it, the Lakers didn't have too bad an opening quarter.
Yeah, with 13, because it has been an anemic period so far. O'Neal trying to muscle and spin his way in. Will get back to the line. But 2 points for a team that is averaging 104 plus in these playoffs.
This Laker team, I think, has shown itself to be one of the best offensive teams in the league right now.
For complete coverage of the NBA Conference Finals, go online to NBA.com Arena. Listen to a live audio broadcast, view real-time stats or shot charts, watch video highlights of every contest. Then after the game, news, photos, notes, and interviews, NBA.com, your ultimate guide to the NBA playoffs.
But this Laker team normally scores so effortlessly, easily getting to 110 a game.
Isley, why not? Somebody guarding.
Shaq's not going to step out. The Jazz know that. They're sticking with their game plan, something the Lakers have not done.
Well, at least in the case of Nick Van Exel, he's going to look and say, see, somebody else is getting burned too. It's just not me that's not guarding anybody. As Rick Fox gets the other hoop for the Lakers, they got 5 points here in the second quarter.
But Stevens' team defense, and we've seen the two differences.
Isley finally missed one. Carr missed a tap. Tapped again. Campbell, or Ori it is, fighting for it and gets the outlet to Fisher.
And with as much time left, the Lakers can get back in this ball game. And that's what they have to work toward. They've got 31 minutes of game time left. And even though they're down some 24 points, if they can cut it to 12, 15 by the break, they're moving in the right direction.
It's always a bad sign when you can't calculate quickly how far you're behind.
Well, Derek Fisher at the line here. Here's a guy who's just coming into his own. His mom and dad did a great job of raising him back there in Little Rock. He recently had his mom called home from work in an emergency family situation. When his mom got home, his sister was right there. And his sister presented his mom with the brand new keys to a spanking new Lexus car, thanking his mom for the great job that she did in driving him to all of his games over the course of his young career.
All those hours in the car in Little Rock, where he went to Parkview High School and worked in an accounting firm and is desperately looking for a shoe contact at the moment. Kobe Bryant to Fox for three. An offensive rebound leads to a Fox three-pointer and a first sign of life from the Lakers in a long time. Fox has 8.
If you're Jerry Sloan, you're telling your guys, okay, don't get happy. Let's keep working. Let's make them work defensively, and then let's try to make an easy scoring opportunity. Karl Malone at the free throw line.
Beautiful head fake, but he couldn't finish with a jump shot from 15 feet.
And what an exquisite pass from Howard Isley, who's played the best this game of any playoff game so far for him this year.
Bryant pulls up on Anderson. Offensive board, Ori is fouled by Isley. Well, the Lakers showing a pulse at least, but a long hill to climb. They're down 42-21.
If you don't play smart and aggressive your own self on the offensive end, you can't beat them, and that's what's happening to us.
Of course, the upside of this is there's 2.5 quarters left to play still, and plus you lost that first game to Seattle. Yeah. What would you advise the team at this time?
Well, we got to remember something. This is not Seattle. This is the best team in basketball right now in terms of record-wise. You can't look at them as the same as Seattle because they have too many weapons. And then what we have to do is be aggressive. We're not being aggressive. We had 3 layups. Guys should have went in there, dunked it, or got the contact, but we faded away from the contact. So we got to be aggressive. Take the ball to the basket. Play our game. We're not playing our game right now. And we're not affecting anything they're doing offensively either.
We'll see if they follow your advice. We'll see it throughout the series. Back to you, Tom.
All right, Jim, easy magic. I thought he was going to run out on the court there for a minute.
I think they need Magic Johnson to get out there and play his energy. Isley to the bench here. Magic was in the locker room before anybody else was there, and he waited as the entire Laker team came into the locker room. He had a little word, a little bit of encouragement for every single one. His leadership still coming through for Los Angeles.
Hey, Tom, here's the key. How did he know Magic was there? He was in the locker room before anybody was there.
Lakers have outscored the Jazz 7-2.
Do you have keys to the Jazz locker room?
As Bryant hits That's 1 of 2 at the line. And over on the Jazz bench, Howard Isley gets a rest after scoring 14 points on 6 of 7 shooting in 11 minutes of play.
Tom, you talk about rest. Brian Russell strong to the hoop here, but the Jazz, after beating San Antonio Tuesday, they took Wednesday completely off. It's a veteran team here in Utah. Jerry Sloan said, look, we got to give our guys some rest. They took Wednesday totally off. They've come back. They're fresh. They're sharp. They're aggressive. They're the ones who are dictating the tempo, which was the key to Magic Johnson's Hall of Fame career.
Also remember this. The Jazz had not played well in any of the other 2 series. Each game they were, surviving. They hadn't really put the total game together, and they put the total package together here in the first 24 minutes. Russell 1 of 2.
Well, Karl Malone telling us that we haven't played our best game yet. They're still looking for it. Might have found it today. They're up 45-24.
If you look at them at this end of the floor defensively, they're challenging everything. They're making it tough for the Los Angeles Lakers to find the rhythm. Kobe Bryant trying to bring it to the rim. Will go back to the line.
Bryant has been the most active of the Lakers so far.
But Kobe's playing a disciplined game today. Yesterday, Del Harris was telling us about the film session that they had just before they came up here, and when Kobe was isolated in that film, taking guys strong to the rim and finishing, and forgetting about the between the legs and the behind the back and the 4 and 5 moves to make something really simple. Del Harris said, hey, look, Kobe, that's what we want, and he's delivering today.
Of course, he's been ill. His minutes down in the playoff, and so has been his production. I enjoyed watching Del demonstrate those moves that he didn't want Kobe to do.
Yeah, they're a lot prettier when Kobe does it. Del was a good basketball player in his day. Or so he tells me.
Karl Malone, too easy.
Now remember, against San Antonio, those shots were blocked. Those shots were smothered. They're getting those lobs inside for Karl Malone, and that is also going to make their offense more effective and efficient.
Steve, where's Shaq on the defensive end?
Or the offensive end, for that matter. He just missed a point-blank hook.
What a pass by Karl Malone.
Now, that's a terrific save, and again, this is an example of just out-hustling the opposition. Shaquille O'Neal is going to be rung up for another foul on the reach-in.
I think the Lakers need to put Shaq on Karl Malone. Shaq is 1 for 6 on the offensive end, 3 points, but just come in all Karl Malone, who's just got great position there. He outruns Robert Horry here, extends to save.
And they gave that last foul to Rick Funk. And out of the ball game comes Derek Fisher. Nick Van Exel is going to come back in.
Steve, we talked in the pregame show about things being contagious in basketball. One thing we're looking here about Karl Malone's contributions has been the contagious effort that he has put out today.
And Karl started the game missing his first 2 shots. He's hit 5 of 6 since then. Jazz up 49-26, just under 5 minutes left till halftime. Eddie
Jones, who played so well in the Sonic series, is reverted. He's not playing very well away from home right here early. The aggressors in this ball game have been the guys in white. Watch the effort here. This is a short arm jumper, and who are the guys that are going to react to the ball? The Utah Jazz, Karl Malone.
Loose ball foul, Eddie Jones, his second foul.
The Lakers have not got any fast break opportunities where Eddie Jones plays at his best.
Post for Shannon Anderson. They think he can post anybody.
Up and under on Kobe Bryant. He made the youngster look silly on that one.
Utah does that every time with Shannon Anderson in the game.
Kobe couldn't quite return the favor. Blew by Anderson, but missed on the reverse. Good recovery by Russell. Kobe's all over him.
But they have the Laker defense spread out, and they're just not reacting very well right now. And, it's the kind of defense where they're all frustrated and disappointed because they can't get in a position where they can help or react to anything that the Jazz have done so far in the first 24.
Russell fall away. Jones in his face. Strong rebound by Shaq. Threw it right to Malone. Karl picked it off, and Antoine Carr got the roll.
Utah is building their lead, and Karl Malone is hurt at half court.
Shaq is fouled by Antoine Carr, and the crowd suddenly goes silent at the sight of Karl Malone near midcourt, writhing in pain on the floor.
Let's see if we can go back and see the whole play in its entirety. There's the steal, and he's going to give it up, and now they're inside and coming back down the other way. He tripped on someone.
Let's watch it from the top.
Guy that doesn't like to show any kind of weakness, and he ran into one of the Los Angeles Lakers. It knocked him off balance. He's finally up, and he's going to walk off on his own power. But you know that Mike Szymanski, the trainer of Utah Jazz, is going to have an eye on him as they talk him through whatever his feelings are right now.
It's been the only point of concern for the Jazz so far. Nearly indestructible. He's back after he stepped on the foot of teammate Shandon Anderson right there. Went down hard and was on the floor for a while. Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, Tom. Trainer Mike Szymanski of the Utah Jazz tells us that Karl Malone simply twisted his knee, was frightened by it. Once he got up and stood up, was able to put some weight on it, figured out that he was fine. He's going to continue to play with the sprain, and they're just going to keep a close eye on him. Tom?
Why are we not surprised? Karl Malone, and as you said, he doesn't want to show that he's ever in pain. He's got a bad wrist, a bad finger, maybe an ankle, and maybe a knee.
And a huge emotional lift to this building here. That had gone down.
The roof would have come off.
O'Neal can't rebound it, and again, it's just a sign of the first 24 minutes of where the Lakers have just been flat and not reacting. Jazz get a new 24.
While we were away during that injury timeout, the fans were going crazy here chanting MVP, MVP, a very electric moment here in the Delta Center.
Eddie Jones.
Jones trying to prevent Russell from cutting by Malone on the low post. Picks up his third foul.
But that's the attitude that they have to have if they're going to get back in the game. They've been allowing these guys to cut freely, move the ball easily, and that won't get it done against the Jazz. They're too efficient when you let them move ball and man around the court.
Steve, not to discourage further viewing, but the score at this pace, the final score at this pace would be Utah 127, LA 62.
You've discouraged it.
Stockton misses, but the offensive rebound by Anderson and knocked out of bounds by the Lakers.
Oh, Eddie Jones has something to say to Hugh Evans.
Did you do that math in your head?
Oh, absolutely.
Game summary. 23% shooting by Los Angeles. Assists 14-4 and bench points 32-10. Pick out just about any stat category you want.
Malone right at the basket. Jerry Somer saying, we got to have that. We got to have that.
But watch the screen by John Stockton. That's what sets this whole thing up. And I bet John Stockton's going to the free throw line here. Stockton on the cross screen just stands there. And Ori, no need for that. There's just so much talk about John Stockton, being a dirty player and setting illegal picks. That is so far from the truth. I've seen John Stockton his whole career. This guy, I've never seen him set an illegal screen. He just comes in, and guys just throw him out of the way because they're frustrated with him.
And we talked about how durable Karl Malone was. You could say the same for John Stockton. Despite the injury earlier this season, the knee surgery that kept him out of the first 18 games of the season.
Well, Bill, it comes back to a guard setting a screen on a big man, and you know big men don't like to be screened. So that's the reason for the attitude, and they always feel that it's an advantage. Foster will pick up the foul.
But if more players would be willing, like John Stockton, to go in there and put their body on the line, Foster can't believe that they called a foul on him. That's his third.
We went back to that Foster saying that the Lakers shouldn't be concerned with him, and back to the throat-slitting gesture. He told us after being on 6 different teams, if anybody deserves to show emotion, it's me. Shaquille hits the first. And tomorrow the NBA playoffs begin at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, a full hour of NBA Showtime. Hannah and company bring you the latest from the site of the draft lottery. Then Game 1, the Eastern Conference Finals. Larry Bird and the Pacers, Reggie Miller and company invade the United Center to take on Michael and the defending champion Bulls. Game 1 in the East starting tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Eastern with NBA Showtime. I think Miller, Bird and company will give series.
Tom Hammond making an early prediction, huh? Boy, oh boy, the Lakers can't get it done after a steal. Rick Fox, right point-blank range, can't score.
For Indiana to win, it's got to be Rick Smith, it's got to be the Davises rebounding, and then Mark Jackson's going to have to be big.
Somehow, Russell willed it in and won.
The key to the play is no pressure on John Stockton. They have run a clinic on ball movement, player movement. Watch Van Exel, his arms are down. Stockton just spots where he wants Russell to go, and it's just a great athletic finish for Russell and a chance for a three-point play.
Steve, 4 years ago, Brian Russell was almost left off the playoff roster for this Utah Jazz team. It was an injury to Jamie Watson. He barely made the playoff roster. Then David Benoit got hurt. And now Brian Russell is just an absolute star for the Jazz.
Now Del Harris continuing to change, trying to find the combination. The lane is open, but it's closed by Ostertag and Russell. Adam Keefe. That things are going good. Adam Keefe is making an early
Who
call.
else is over there?
When you got a redhead on your team, you got to get him in early.
Or not at all. 10 on the shot clock for Campbell on the Lakers.
Won't go down. And Anderson has it for the Jazz. Once again, they're winning the battle for the loose ball.
Every long rebound has been for Utah. Shannon Anderson, Isley, Stockton. Again.
Malone kept it alive for a moment. 3-on-1 break. Bryant back to him for the Jazz. Style points and little else on that one. They're still down 28.
One thing that this series is going to prove is that the Lakers are going to need Kobe Bryant to win against the Utah Jazz. A lot of people thought that they were so good, playing so well, that they couldn't get Kobe Bryant back in it. Now they come across a team that suddenly found their A game. They'll need every chamber filled, and Kobe's one of those bullets.
Utah just scoring at will.
The Laker defense, non-existent. Back cuts, great passing. Brian Russell's now hurt.
Well, they can play him 4-on-5 right now. It won't matter. Now Kobe has sinks 2 field goals in a row. The first 2 by the Lakers in about 6 minutes.
Karl Malone can't chase that one down. They're going to get Russell out of the ball game, and he is shaking that arm.
Well, the hard screen there. Corey Blunt comes right in, making his presence felt. That elbow into the back of the neck and shoulder area. Very, very painful. Mike Sheminsky really having a tough afternoon, the trainer for the Jazz.
But, you know, this is a game in which you've got to be physical. You've got to start being the aggressor. Corey Blunt laid a little wood on the Utah Jazz, Brian Russell, but that's the first lick of the day for the Los Angeles Lakers.
So popular, great fans in Indiana. Larry, well aware of the history.
Well, Shaq is out, so that means Eldon Campbell will go down low against Karl Malone on his own. Let's see if they work through Eldon Campbell.
Kobe Bryant and Rick Fox have scored 20 of the Lakers' 32 points. Traveling call, and Los Angeles turns it over.
Karl Malone, first team All-NBA defense, making a physical stand there against Eldon Campbell. Eldon loses his balance. You get your head outside that midpoint between the 2 feet, you're going to travel every single time.
Less than a minute till halftime.
Again, posting Shannon Anderson. He thought he got fouled, got nothing. Bryant, a pretty good play.
Van Exel pushes for the Lakers.
How's that not palming the ball by Van Exel? Looks like he just carried it over everybody.
And Kobe, too. When's the last time they called that on anybody, for that matter? That's right next to that traveling rule in the rule book. I think they're right there together.
Well, now
I got lost.
You guys are definitely going to get on the bad side of Del Harris. He feels that his team is not getting any calls. How many travels that they had already in the first half against Shaq, Campbell, as Kobe Bryant comes back to the line. This is the first.
Tom, maybe the dog ate that page like in Shaq's commercial.
You're right. Hits the second one. 60-33.
Fans love to taunt Kobe at this stage of his career. He'll be back.
These are Utah fans. They love to taunt anybody that's in the opposing uniform. They got into it with John Rooks, and he hasn't even been in the game yet.
Shot clock.
Van Exel picks it off, and Stockton fouls him at midcourt.
There's an example of how the Jazz are not giving up anything cheap. I mean, there was a chance Stockton could have let him go, reached in, picks up a foul. They want to compete. They want the Lakers to know that they're not going to go quietly in the night, and this is going to be a tough series. And if they're going to win, they're going to have to figure out a way to win here in the Delta Series.
Stockton's so critically important. He knew he had just one foul in that situation. So going to halftime as John Stockton will with 2 fouls, that's not too bad.
Van Exel with his first and second points of the game.
But when you have a 25-point lead, I don't know how much you're worried about foul trouble.
Brian Russell has a stinger on the left shoulder as a result of that hard screen, and likely will return. Adam Keefe will return to the free throw line here.
What's a stinger?
It's a little nerve irritation on your shoulder. As you played football, you might know that.
Kind of like Steve Jones.
No, he's just an irritant. Steve is merely an irritant. Adam Keefe is in the scoring column.
Adam, not really a factor right now. Was a key player all regular season for him, and the Houston playoff series, which was so tough for the Jazz. But as they've been playing now against San Antonio and the Lakers, Adam not getting much time, but certainly a competent and qualified playoff team member.
How big is this lead? Jacques Vaughn is in the game, and all 12 Jazz have scored. Van Exel at the buzzer. And the first half has been a Utah rout. Off the bench, Isley and Morris doing major damage. Utah leading throughout the game after scoring the first 6 points. Their biggest advantage in the first half.